It's 6:45. Welcome to Great Day for this Tuesday, 4th day of February, and look who is here.
Jackie.
He's
here.
So, and Ron, the car guy, is here from Westside Auto Pros, and perfect timing on your part, I might add.
That's right.
Especially with what's happening weather-wise this week.
The weather is definitely changed, hasn't it?
Frightful, as they
That's
say.
right. That's
So
right.
do you just help cars alongside the interstate on the way back to the shop when you're done here?
Or at least stop and hand out my card.
Yeah, here you go.
Kind of like an ambulance chaser.
Make a call. Here you go. We'll be over in just a little bit. But apparently, we're going to be answering questions.
We are.
Via your website.
That's right. We have a separate website. We've talked about it before. It's AskRonTheCarGuy.com.
Right.
And I get questions all the time through that, and certainly I answer them, but we haven't answered a few on the air lately. We've been talking about other things, so I pulled a few off of there yesterday and thought we'd talk about them.
Okay, let's do it.
And the first one is probably goes well with the weather. We've certainly seen this. It's not an uncommon problem. But Sheila from Urbandale asked, on my Impala, my heater fan does not work on the 2 middle speeds, but it's okay on low and high.
Huh.
Could it be a fuse?
Okay, easy question. Jason?
No.
No?
Okay.
Jackie?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sheila couldn't be a fuse. The next question.
No.
I have no idea.
No is the answer. No, but I did want to talk a little bit about that because that's not an uncommon problem. We see that where cars come in and some of the speeds work and other speeds don't work on the fan. So first off, for those that are wondering, this is not out of the hamster cage.
Okay.
This is actually the fan that would go in your car that spins and blows the air through the heater system.
Okay.
So this is the component that forces the air through, but this is likely the component that is failed on Sheila's car. And what this is an electronic, basically resistor, and so the computer or the switch in the car tells this component which speed you want, and then it in turn directs the right amount of voltage to the fan to run it at the proper speed.
And that's probably buried 3 feet behind the dash somewhere.
Not 3 feet, but at least 2. Yeah. And this is even a little further past that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, not in convenient spots. But this particular component does fail. And when it fails, you'll lose one of the speeds, and then next you'll lose another speed. And oftentimes people will go buy one of these, put it in the vehicle, and all your speeds are magically back. And then 30 days later, you start losing speeds again.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay.
And so then they go back to the parts store and they say, hey, your part's no good, it's failed, and they give them another one, they put it in, and they go through it again. These rarely fail on their own. What happens is when this component fails, it's likely because something inside of here is getting worn, either in the motor or maybe there's debris, a mouse or leaves or twigs or something in here, but it's causing this to draw too much amperage, too much electricity. So as it pulls too much electricity through this component, it burns this component out. So if you do have a car that has that problem and the shop calls you up and say, hey, you need a blower motor resistor or a blower resistor, I would ask them if they check the amperage draw on the fan just to save you a trip back.
Oh, okay.
Because this is usually failed because of this component.
Because of that.
Exactly. Okay. So
good point. Never
So
even
you
thought
were
about that.
right.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah, you were right. It's not a
if it
fuse.
works, the fuse still is there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, if even one speed works, the fuse is good.
Okay. All right, so check that one off the
Right,
list.
check that off the list.
Okay.
John from Ankeny had a good question. He's got a GMC Yukon, and it's got rear air suspension with failed shock absorbers and a ruined compressor.
But beside that, it's a perfect car.
That's right. It's an awesome car. And the axle seals probably leak because they usually do on Yukons. But anyway, I've heard of a conversion kit to change it over to conventional suspension. What are your thoughts on this? What John's talking about is some vehicles out there have air shocks on the back to control the ride height of the vehicle.
Oh, okay.
And those same vehicles now have sensors and they got a compressor, so there's a computer that automatically, if you put weight into it, it pumps it back up and stuff.
Right.
What typically happens is those shocks will start to leak, and then the compressor runs more often than what it normally was designed to run, and eventually the compressor burns out, and then the vehicle comes in squatting down. Well, now it needs shocks and a compressor, kind of like the two-part repair we have there. And it's expensive. The compressors are expensive. So first off, if you do have a vehicle with a self-leveling system on it, and you hear the compressor running more often than it used to, have it checked.
You can hear it. Is it in the back or the front or the?
Yeah. And as it gets ready to die, it'll really start making a lot of noise. But if it's running more often than it used to, you get it checked out and save yourself the big expense.
Now, is air suspension as popular as it once was? Because I know even like the Mark 7s for a while had air suspension on them. I had 2 different Mark 7s, and both of them had airbag problems where you'd go out and it'd be a normal car. You go in and do something, come back on, and it's on the ground like a lowrider.
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it was down on the ground.
Yeah, and what those would do is
hitting the bump stops, as they say.
Yeah. If even one of those bags leaked, the computer would open and dump the air out of all of them to prevent the extra load on it. They've kind of got away from that air suspension just because the climate and the reliability wasn't there. But still, on like some of the SUVs and stuff, we still see this type of suspension. It's not on all of them, but it's certainly not uncommon.
More load-bearing than?
If you got like a trailer tow package, it was on there, or if you got an upgraded suspension package for the ride and stuff, it was on there. And they do. Now there's companies that make aftermarket kits. They got regular springs and shocks that you put on there, and that certainly is a more cost-effective way to repair it, and it's a solid way to fix it. But what you want to keep in mind is it's not going to ride the same. It's not going to ride as well because you're used to the soft, cushy air suspension, and it's going to ride like a regular Tahoe or a regular Yukon, and you just got to know that up front that you will be able to tell a difference.
Okay.
Not a negative difference, but it'll be different. So. And then the last one we've got here is Tammy from Des Moines had asked this question. We're looking at buying a used car. Most that are in our price range have over 100,000 miles. Do you think it's safe to buy a vehicle with that many miles on it?
That's a good question.
And how do we know we're not buying a lemon?
You know, 10, 15 years ago, well, I guess my inclination, and I'm not a car guy, would be to say no, but nowadays, I don't know. I mean,
well, you know, pretty much any car from 95 and newer was engineered and designed to go 200,000 miles. I mean, the reason people get rid of them before that is they just get tired of the car or their needs change. You know, they need a van instead of a car or something like that. So the miles don't bother me at all.
Right.
But you know, how do we know we're not buying a lemon? I would suggest a pre-purchase inspection, and I mean, we offer them at Westside Auto Pros. Most places do. We've got like 174-point inspection, and it runs about $90. I would recommend that a disinterested third party, you know, look at it. Exactly, and any car, even if it's got 60,000 miles. I mean, you know, maybe there's accident damage or something that you know nobody knew about, you know, including the person selling the car. And so, you know, again, Tammy, I wouldn't be afraid of the vehicle having 100,000 miles on it, but I would get it checked out, as I'd recommend any vehicle.
No, go ahead.
Do you nowadays, when you buy a car with 100,000 miles on it, do you have to accept the fact that something's probably going to go wrong, you know, in 20,000 miles or so? Is it?
I would accept that with pretty much a car with 0 miles
that's
on
probably
it.
true.
You've been around these for a while.
Well, you know, the other thing to keep in mind is, I mean, every time we see a car, it's broken.
Right.
You know, if a car's not broken, we don't see it. So maybe I'm a little biased on that aspect. But yeah, I mean, you buy a car with 100,000 miles on it. Yeah, sometime in the next 10 or 20,000 miles, you might have to put a few $100s into it. But you didn't pay $25,000 for the car either, like it was new.
Right.
And so you just factor that in.
Sure.
Okay, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard the commercials on the radio. Carfax.
Yes.
Pro or con?
I think Carfax is a good thing. Being in the auto industry, I mean, I do know that there's ways around that. It's not foolproof, but it's better than not doing anything at all.
And is that the only game in town, or is there some alternatives?
No. There's a couple of alternatives. The name of the other one escapes me right now. But I've got it at work. I mean, if somebody wanted to email me or something, I usually would check both.
Okay.
And just make sure that that there isn't something there. Carfax is kind of neat now too, because they've struck a deal with some of the repair centers. Ours is one of them, where they take information, we provide them information from our database. So let's say we put a timing belt in your vehicle at 100,000 miles, and somebody's looking at that vehicle 130,000 miles, it'll show on Carfax that we replaced the timing belt at 100. So I mean, the maintenance part of it is a big deal.
Built into it now.
Exactly,
Okay, that's a good
exactly.
idea.
So
Okay.
that's
All
a
right.
good program.
Okay, autocheck.com.
AutoCheck,
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
Okay.
See, you're a better car guy than me.
Somebody just told me in my ear.
Oh, okay, all right. I need to get one
So
of
you
those.
got one of these things
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
Just walk around with it all day.
Yeah, well, it would really be helpful.
Stan will talk to you all day.
Stan, thank you, sir. Wonderful. Well, as always, people want to stop by and visit you.
Right.
Where do they go?
They can come to Westside Auto Pros. You can find us at westsideautopros.com. Or if you just want a second opinion, you're getting your car fixed somewhere or have a question, submit it through askaroundthecarguy.com. I answer them.
We can do that.